Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Celebrity Natal Charts. Today, we are going to be looking at the chart of Josh James Brolin, born February 12th, 1968. He is an American actor. He has acted in theater, film, and television roles since 1985. He is known primarily for his roles in the films Thrashin', The Goonies, W, No Country for Old Men, Milk, American Gangster, True Grit, Men in Black 3, Gangster Squad, and Old Boy. I've actually seen a lot of those movies. Who he is, I have no idea. I kind of like that element of not knowing too much about who they are before I read their charts, because if there's any like synchronicities, it seems a little bit more authentic and genuine. Um, Thrashin', never seen. I assume that's something about like cars or sharks or something. Have definitely seen The Goonies. Maybe he was a little kid in The Goonies. W, I'm assuming it's something to do with George W. Bush. I don't really know the movie. No Country for Old Men. Watched it. It was a long movie. Milk. Definitely saw it. I guess I only really remember the main actor, which I really don't because I don't remember who that was. And I didn't even know they had a Black Men in Black 3. So uh, super big Josh Brolin fan here, I guess, apparently. But if we take a quick look at his chart, Josh Brolin is born in Santa Monica, California, like I said, February 12th, 1968. And it says that his birth time accuracy is excellent at 11:22 a.m. And he is an Aquarius with rising Taurus in the first house. Okay. So the way that I look at charts, I don't know. This is like um, I don't know, like a million one of these videos that I've done so far, is that I use equal houses and I intuitively interpret the chart. So, even if you give me the wrong birth time and, you thought you had a rising Taurus, but you actually have a rising Libra, um, technically, or like, spiritually, psychically, like your reading should still line up some way, some form, shape or form. Which is why I think these celebrity natal charts are a really good thing to look at, because most likely their birth information is probably wrong, or just like press or media, because that kind of goes into your whole package as well. So I always say, like, there's probably tons of people who to be Libras or Leos, but they're actually like Cancers, and the marketing company's like, well, we can't have everybody think that you're like a Cancer. Like, that doesn't sound good. So anyway, more so than patching over astrological mistakes, he has a rising Taurus. We're going to talk about what an Aquarius with rising Taurus means. Aquarius rising Taurus, to me, like off the bats, like just off the top of my head, seems like a difficult energy to be in, because Taurus is a sign of tradition and doing things by the book, represented by like the Hierophant tarot card. So Taurus is like organized religion, Catholicism, Hinduism, Islam, and Aquarius is more, um, free range spirituality. Almost like and like more Taurus, I would say, is like collective spirituality, where Aquarius is more individual spirituality. So Aquarius is like not afraid to not be part of the church. And that's who he is. So, I mean, if you look at Josh James Brolin, he does sort of have this like very classic look to him. He's in all these, he's like an American movie actor. I don't know John Wayne's astrology at all, but, very like John Wayne, Fred Astaire, cropped hair, like a high top hair, whatever. Very classic looking. Um, and is probably good with his money as a rising Taurus. His second house of Gemini means that he probably talks about money a lot, probably very financially savvy. His movies, I mean, from what is it? No Country for Old Men. So actually, no, I have not seen No Country for Old Men. I was thinking of There Will Be Blood. So I've not seen that movie actually. I was confused. So I haven't seen a lot of his movies. But anyway, I mean, he did American Gangster. Yeah, American Gangster. I haven't seen True Grit, but that sounds like it's about money. Gangster Squad. I mean, what else did Gangsters and Goonies do but try to get money, right? But so he talks about money a lot. He could probably also talks about like if I had this much money when I was younger, um, I would have done X, Y, and Z. Maybe if he was born with more finances, he would have never gotten to the acting business in general. And his third house of Cancer, this says that like he talks to or talks about his mother a lot and his mother's side of the family. Makes him very emotional. He's very nurturing. He probably is a very slow talker. And has a lot of compassion and care behind his words. February 12th, like the number 12 is like a Pisces number. Um, so he's probably like very water sign. He's probably very spiritual. He's probably like um, almost so spiritual that it's almost like distasteful. Like I'm getting the feeling of like a hippie or for some reason in one of the movies, what is that movie? Meet the Parents. Like he's like the hippie Kabbalah guy. I don't know if he's Jewish or Catholic or what, but he's like very hippie, very Kabbalah, and it's like maybe sort of annoying. Or maybe his mother is, or something that came to him through his mother. But continue to talk about his mama. Yo, mama, so Leo, James Brolin. That, but in his fifth house, he also has the moon. So this means he either like talks like a third house in Cancer either talks about his mother, talks like his mother, sounds like his mother. Like so, like if his dad was German and his mother was Italian, he may not speak German or have ever been too close to that culture. But he might if he's at Cheesecake Factory and it's like, do you want fish and chips or Wiener Schnitzel or the closest authentic is a pasta pomodoro. He's like, I'll take the pasta pomodoro. My mom's Italian. I don't know, like not out of any like real deep connection. But his fourth house in Leo, maybe his mother was somewhat famous. Maybe the Brolins. Maybe his mother comes from a famous family. Um, or maybe his dad comes from a famous family, and this is the connection to his paternal grandmother. But talks about his mom a lot, talks about his grandmother a lot. Very famous for it, very famously talks about his connection to. That's why I say like Kabbalah and Judaism, because it's like a matrilineal spiritual practice. So it's like his spiritual practices come through connection to a lot to like his maternal female family members, which we can talk about for another 5 minutes. But also makes him very upset, very complicated feelings around like fame. Maybe he's like more famous than his mother or his brothers or female like his sister or something. And he kind of doesn't want to be like maybe he wants to be like the loser of the family, and that just never really got an opportunity for that to manifest. And I say that because Cancer, the moon, water signs, they enjoy being sad. And then with the moon in Leo, it's like perhaps there's a lot of things that he wants to be sad about or wanted to be sad about and just couldn't really find it within himself to logically find that situation to be upsetting because he's also an Aquarius. So I mean, this could be like him finding out about his like mom not having money or an ex-girlfriend not having any money or something like that. And he's like, I really want to be humanitarian and care, but there's like too much history and complicated feelings. Um, and in his fifth house, so the fifth house I always say is like the obstacle house, and in the celebrity natal chart reading series, I guess he's the second person with a rising Taurus that I've analyzed. And I think it's a very, I find it very redundant to be like, oh, okay, like you have Virgo in the fifth house. That means like your work and health are going to be an obstacle for you. Which theoretically, I mean, I don't know everybody's life and I haven't experienced life through everyone. Everybody's health is somewhat of a challenge, right? Like, people get sick. But perhaps there are people who don't get sick that often. They're not willing to admit it to themselves. That could be a problem with him having a rising Taurus. He could be very stubborn. He could have like some type of illness and is not willing to admit it to himself, which is an obstacle. But he also has Jupiter, Pluto, and Uranus retrograde in Virgo, um, in his fifth house. So that means, like, you know, we're sitting here talking about him. Josh James Brolin, he's famous. He's been in all these movies. But I guess there's something about him that's very unlucky. And maybe he has read or is reading his own natal chart, and it's like, he would have found more luck working at Chick-fil-A or, because I always see like Jupiter. I mean, and this is maybe my own misinterpretation of Jupiter and Virgo. But it's like Jupiter and Virgo. It's like doing small menial tasks bring you a lot of luck and fortune. So, you could very easily go to the grocery store and buy baby carrots or pre-chopped carrots or whatever, pre-chopped celery, onions, mirepoix. Or, you can just go to Whole Foods and it's all chopped up and mixed together. So for James Brolin or in my interpretation, for James Brolin or anybody else with a Jupiter and Virgo, it's like taking the peas home and snapping them yourself brings you a lot of luck. Dredging and deep frying your own chicken brings you a lot of luck. Recording yourself singing and dancing, instead of waiting for someone else to do it, brings you a lot of luck. To me, in my interpretation. But for him, I think a lot of people would skip a lot of like monotonous tasks, in order to achieve certain success. So maybe he would have been better off like in an Always Sunny Philadelphia situation, recording his own movies. I don't know his net worth or if he has money or if he's successful or not, but that's just what's coming to me, especially with like Uranus here. Uranus retrograde in Virgo, it's like maybe like whatever TV show he might have been a part of shouldn't have been on it. Maybe it's like not that great. And then Pluto, it's like, I don't know, maybe like recorded him doing or saying something that's so embarrassing, like makes him want to die. And it has to do with like some television show he was on around the age of like 28 or 31, like in his 20s, like his teens and his 20s. Um, and that is his fifth house, and it's an obstacle. And it could have just been it could have been like, people at work trying to blackmail him or sabotage him or whatever. But that's like a huge obstacle in his life. And then also, as I say in this series, I talk about, oh, this is actually Uranus and not Neptune. But I often talk about Neptune being the TV antenna, and I was kind of getting the same feeling from, I guess, Uranus here. So it could be some type of like, I guess that's very typical. And I kind of feel like in the entertainment industry, they do it to you on purpose. Like I think like Ashton Kutcher, who's also an Aquarius, like has some like maybe like racist, like Japanese laundry commercial, like Mr. Bubble from Simpsons or something like that. So there's something like that in his energy where he did something overseas that he might find extremely embarrassing. And the way that it gets, and that's actually kind of reiterates because Libra, his next house, his sixth house in Libra, is how he's supposed to overcome this. So maybe he like recorded something in Japanese or like in a foreign language that he did not study. Virgo being the obstacle for him, which is like work and study and being knowledgeable. And then what's supposed to help him is bringing balance to his work and health life. So maybe he believes that he did some type of Japanese commercial that is potentially racist or bad, or he just didn't know what he was saying. Like he was just, saying it phonetically or something. And if he were to study, Virgo, go into hermit mode and learn Japanese or Filipino or whatever language it was, German, Italian, and then he would be like, "Oh, okay, I didn't say anything horrible or offensive. I just need to take some time to learn the language that I was speaking." Um, and then also, so as he's like a spiritual individualist, yet might be connected to mainstream religion as an Aquarius rising Taurus. He might have, like spiritual beliefs around science and medicine, where he doesn't know when to take medicine, like, if the medicine's going to work, like, my head hurts, I need to take a Tylenol. Is the Tylenol going to kill me? Um, how he gets over that, or, outside of that energy of knowing when to trust medicine, when to trust doctors, is by perhaps dating a doctor or dating a nurse or someone with medical or shamanic herbology. You know what I mean? Like Virgo, I can't herbology, like someone who knows about like healing plants and medicine. I know herbology is from freaking Harry Potter. But that, like some hedge witch or something. And that's how he's supposed to heal himself. But then I guess like outside of Dungeons and Dragons and witchcraft and warriors and warlocks, it's like his girlfriend or his boyfriend would be like a really good addition to his intuition, or they would like fortify his intuition enough to help him heal himself. But this is not just like with illness and sickness; it's also with job and career. So this could be somebody helping him pick out which movies to be in, what television appearances to make, what commercials to be in, so that he doesn't end up in some like racist Japanese commercial or something. Um, and then his seventh house of Scorpio. So as we're talking about relationships and partnership, technically, I mean, I guess like the seventh house, it's your partner, it's your life partner, supposedly. But I also kind of feel like it's like your secret life partner. It's like your best friend house, even though it's supposed to be the 11th house and he is an Aquarius. I don't know, especially with it being in Scorpio, I feel like it's like, some secret person he sees on the side that he's been seeing for years since he was on TV, because I think he also has Neptune and Scorpio as well. Yes, 26 degrees. So there could have been somebody that he has known or has been talking to since he was like 26 or 28 years old, that he has a lot of feelings for, and that's kind of like the love of his life, almost like his Helen of Troy, if that makes sense. I don't really know the story of Helen of Troy, but it's almost like I get the image of like a female Oscar, where it's like, as an actor, you're like, I really want an Oscar, like I want the golden statue Oscar. But as a lover, as a rebel spirit, he's like, I really want to be with Samantha, or Tabitha or Alexa or some person that he's been in love with for a very long time. And it's secret. So he probably like, and then also with everything, everybody in astrology knows the Scorpion Taurus dynamics feels very much like prostitution or sex work, because Taurus is like, I'm such an awful person and you spent time with me, like here's money. Because they just like feel bad about themselves a lot and their gluttony and their greed, which is great for Scorpio. But in his eighth house of Sagittarius, or the eighth house, which is ruled by the sign of Scorpio, in which he has the sign of Sagittarius, he could be very competitive around his spiritual knowledge and like astrology. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you don't know astrology more than I do. My mom taught it to me. In which, who knows everything, right? Um, I mean, he might have, even with Sagittarius in the eighth house, like, gone to an ashram in India. He might know Vedic astrology. He might, have traveled abroad and received a lot of education around God and spirit, like trip to the Vatican, Jerusalem, things like that. And if he hasn't, he may want to. Um, okay, and then in his ninth house, where he also has Venus in his midheaven, I actually feel like for him, with this rising, being a sun Aquarius and rising Taurus, a better partner or better or more compatible energy for him, I think, would be Capricorn, especially when it comes to long term relationships. Long-term relationships and long-term relationships, long-distance relationships, long-lasting relationships. I see that he would be a better match for Capricorn. Even somebody with like maybe a Sun, Scorpio, rising Capricorn, as they would be like more mature and business savvy. If he ever needs a travel companion or partner, Capricorn would probably be the best bet for him. And then moving into his 10th house where he has Aquarius and also his sun, and I believe Mercury as well. Like I said, he might talk about astrology a lot. He might talk about the fact that he's an Aquarius a lot. He might use the fact that he's an Aquarius as an excuse, like, oh, sorry I forgot your birthday. I'm an Aquarius. I'm here, no there, and I'm on some diet, and I got weird spiritual beliefs, or spiritual beliefs you never heard of. Um, and he also has Mercury retrograde reversed in Aquarius. So, not that I am the best speaker that has ever spoken in the world or on YouTube, but for this, it says like at a very young age, he probably had a lot of difficulty speaking or speaking up for himself. Which, as you get, like, that's the thing too. Like when I was younger, I was very shy, did not like public speaking. If anything, that's like a nightmare to me. But because of that, I did theater. Um, I did theater, modeling, all types of different things to help me get over that. So me at my core, I still think of myself as like a shy, doesn't want to speak, not really wanting of attention type of person. Which I can see a very similar energy in Josh Brolin's chart, where he may not have been very confident as a child, and then as he's grown up, going from like kind of like a queer Aquarian to a more stable and determined Taurus. And in his 11th house, he has Pisces. So I think Pisces and also Mars. So he might act like act like a Pisces, which is kind of like it calls to the the kind of the catchphrase that I have about astrology and natal charts and astrological interpretation. That even though when you're looking at a natal chart, there's a bunch of lines and laser beams, and conjunctions and squares and trines and things like that. To me, I always look at it as like a seasoned pot, where it's like, okay, chop up some Aries, throw some Aries in there, a dash of Taurus, a sprinkle of Aquarius. So, if Josh Brolin was at a dinner party and he was like, talking to some astrologer and they're like, oh, what's your sign? And, oh, just go ahead and guess. Like, you're supposed to be so psychic, just guess my sign. And they guess Pisces. Most people be like, okay, like Pisces, Aquarius, like right next door to each other, very close. Not extremely accurate, but close. For him, it would be even more so accurate because he goes around acting like a Pisces. So, a more articulate astrological reader would probably be like, oh, well, let me look at your chart. You probably have rising Pisces, or, oh, wow, you were born on the 12th. That's a Pisces number. But is an Aquarius, talks like an Aquarius, acts like a Pisces, loves like a Capricorn, um, very lucky and unlucky like a Virgo, and emotional like a Leo because of his planetary placements. But what does acting like a Pisces mean? Acting like a Pisces means like maybe even like pretending to be sad. Like choosing to have feelings. Like I said, he has a lot of complex feelings between his mother, potentially his father as well. So there might be a lot of instances I mean, especially as an actor where it's like, okay, put on the sad voice, put on the sad face, start the waterworks. I'm so sad. Oh God, I'm so sad. Um, and maybe as he gets older, maybe he'll do something like soap operas or do a lot more acting. Soap operas or religious plays or what do you call it? Like, nativity scenes or something where it's like he has to portray weeping or sadness or people being oppressed or captured, like how Pisces feel. And in his 12th house, he has Aries. So the 12th house, I'm always like, this is an energy of people who want to embarrass you, stop you, sabotage you, self undoing, or how you stop and sabotage yourself. And he has a lot of complicated energy in his 12th house with Chiron and Saturn and his North Node all being in Aries. It very much feels like the Adam Sandler movie Anger Management. Maybe he was in it, maybe he was supposed to be in it, who knows? But it's something like he can't manage his anger. It's a huge limitation for him, but it's also like his destiny in life to help himself overcome his anger and help others. But he also has Chiron there. So Chiron to me, like I said, like in the James Hong video, it's like somebody with a very thick accent who's like constantly trying to correct your accent. Like, let's say we both have Chinese accents and I'm like, oh, like your accent, it's so thick and terrible. You should talk more like me. While I have the exact same accent. Um, so for him, it's like, he might, oh, you're so angry or you're so sad because I think Chiron is actually on the border of Pisces and Aquarius with him, or Pisces and Aries with him. Oh yeah, Chiron and Pisces. So it's like, oh, you're so sad or you're so angry or emotional or whatever it is. And they're like, you're sad, you're angry, you're emotional. What are you talking about? Pull the, what is it? Like, pull the thorn from your eye before you try to pull the log from mine, or vice versa. Uh, it's a Bible thing, Pisces. And, it's a huge limit. Like, so anger is like a huge limitation for him. Sadness is a huge limitation for him. Depression, isolation. Um, People born under the sign of Aries, war, government affiliation. Maybe he feels like he should have joined. I think he has a lot of like, maybe it's the Neptune and Scorpio. Oh, I should have never did TV. I should have joined the USO. I should have worked at Chick-fil-A. Just all these like regrets and things like that. But I guess we'll see, like, once his life is over at some point, how successful those choices were. But from his chart, it looks like okay. I mean, there's a lot of things in retrograde, but you can't really help that. Okay, so that's been my analysis of Josh Brolin's natal chart, the Sun Aquarius Rising Taurus. If you're an Aquarius with Rising Taurus, your chart is probably very similar, but also probably extremely different because of your planetary placements. You'll probably have a very different reading or life toward, not so similar towards his or very similar, whatever. But if you would like your own reading, your own natal chart reading, you can request one on my website with all the readings that I do that are recorded by video. I do beg and plead that you book like a day or 2 days in advance just to give me some time to like make a cute little cover for you on Canva and to upload it and not feel rushed because if I feel rushed, you'll get a bad reading. Not that any of my readings are bad, but just like not as in depth or as detailed. So because a lot of people they like to book on the same day, which hey, like I said before, never mad at getting a booking or a reading. We're always happy with that. But when they're in the same day, I do like even if you're like take your time, like I'm just getting it due diligence like out of the way, getting it paid for and stuff. I appreciate that, obviously, but I always suggest that you, so like let's say today's Tuesday, and you want a natal chart reading video because you're going to go on a really long car ride on Thursday or Friday. I would put the booking in on Thursday to be like, hey, Tarot Bay, looking for a natal chart reading, Thursday. that will be the deadline. So it's like I have like 2 or 3 days to make it. I can have a panic attack and be like, I'm not doing it, and and then go and do it, and sit down and force myself to do it, um, and go through all the emotions and clearing my mind of like, oh my, like, because that's the thing too. Talking about panic attacks, and not necessarily with natal chart readings so much, but with a lot of my tarot readings, it's like I kind of, I've been doing this for almost 10 years, and I have a lot of instances where I stop believing in my power, because other people start challenging me, or they have their doubts or skepticisms, and then I'll do a reading for someone, and it'll just be so accurate that I'm like, oh wow, like I'm psychic. That's nuts. So I have to have like my time as well. And thank you so much for listening to this rant and ramble about me backdoor bragging about being psychic. And I will see you in my next video. Bye. As a plane goes by.